On today's episode of Back of the Bird, we sit down with Alex Simmons of the Albany Firewolves. A little bit of a different episode today due to some scheduling issues. There'll be no banter, so we're going to get right into the interview. A great sit down with Alex for about an hour here. Really thankful for him to coming on the show. Let's get into it. This is episode 106 of Back of the Bird.
Take your first ride and run, baby, run. If you want a sign, this is it. You're mad, you're magic, you're as hot as a gun. You wanna play with fire, consider this. You'll chase the thrill if it's worth the hit, 'cause you never ever wanna work for it. Take your first ride and run, baby, run. You got a spine of steel and a roar of thunder. Yeah, you make me drown, yeah, you pulling me under.
This Smithville, Ontario native played his minor and junior A lacrosse with St. Catharines, where he led the team to an Ontario championship in the bubble season of 2021. He attended Denver University for 4 years and then did his fifth year at Syracuse and was selected by the Albany Firewolves in the 2023 NLL draft. This season for Albany, he is currently third in league scoring and has led the Firewolves to a 6-1 start to the season. Welcome back to the Bird, Alex Simmons.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Let's go, Johnny. Fucking right.
Fucking right. Finally off the schneid, baby. Let's go.
So nervous reading that.
Oh, that's good. So
I could just double check my work. I could just for once double check my work, but I like to double check it in real time.
It's more fun that way.
Yeah, I'm Ron Burgundy.
So Simmer, what's up, man? How are things?
Things are good. Just got home early yesterday morning. Been just kind of hanging out and getting back to work this week. I work out at True Lacrosse here in Illinois, so it's back on the grind. Got practices starting up this winter, and it's been great so far.
So where are you in Illinois?
I'm in Chicago, so I'm right on. So I live in Chicago. I live in Lincoln Park, but we have a facility out here in Lombard, Illinois. So it's about a 40-minute drive outside the city.
No way. So you got a apartment in Chicago, or what do you got?
Yeah, I got an apartment. I live with two of my former Denver teammates who work right in the city, like right in the loop. So I got they got a pretty good deal. Yeah, right downtown.
That's unreal. I've never been to Chicago. I heard it's unreal though.
It's a pretty fun city. It's a cleaner New York, but probably just as dangerous. And it's,
yeah. What is it? Southside Chicago? It's like
you gotta.
There's like 50 murders a day that just go unsolved.
Yeah, you gotta stay out of there. I mean, it's just. Yeah, I'm more north. I'm like north of the city,
Nice.
but like right in it. But it's a really cool spot. The food is amazing. They're known for their deep dish and stuff like that. So it's been quite a time getting used to it. Although during the season, obviously it's my first time around, but you can't really experience the weekends as much as you'd like. But as the summer rolls around, I'll be able to. So it'll be good.
And like anything, summers in like a winter city is like 10 times better too. So it's just gonna be like way better.
Oh, absolutely, and it's right on a lake, right? It's right on Lake Michigan. It's quite a party.
How have you found the travel from Chicago?
You know what? It's not that bad. I get directs everywhere just because of the hub at O'Hare. So it hasn't been too bad. Like there's been no connections or anything. So it's been great. When it comes to out West games, I'm kind of right in the middle. So each way it's about 2.5 each way. So there's nothing crazy. It does take its toll. I'm sure you guys know right away when you're new to it. I'm flying out every Friday, and you're just kind of like getting back on. Most of my flights, I've been getting the rookie treatment, getting out of there at 5:30 a.m. every day. So it's not great. I get home in Chicago because we're an hour behind at like 7 a.m. So it's a grind, and it's been fun though. I don't get to travel with any of the boys, so kind of that part kind of sucks. But other than that, it's been great.
But you're flying direct to Albany? Is that what you do, or do you fly somewhere else?
No, fly direct to Albany. It's about 2 hours, so it's not bad at all, really.
You must be the only guy on the team that gets that.
Well, No, yeah,
Here
I'd
comes the
probably
fine. Ding, 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 ding,
I
ding,
was
ding,
thinking
ding.
that same thing.
cut that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, that's actually like that's funny because when we come see you guys in like I guess 3 or 4 weeks, I'm flying from. I just figured they would make us drive, but I'm going. My first flight's Toronto to Chicago, then Chicago to Albany. So when we brought up flights, I'm like, oh, you must get flights. So it's actually not bad.
Oh yeah, I had this past weekend. We had a bunch of the Seals guys. Like I mean, Patty Merrill was on my flight, and he already looked angry to begin with, like at the gate. So
That's just how he looks. That's how
I
he
knew that we
looks.
were in for a run for our money. So that kind of. But other than that, it's been I get most of the guys coming from a lot of them connect from Washington or Chicago. It's kind of either one. So
I think
um,
we're going. I go back through Washington. I think we go
yeah.
through Chicago or vice versa, one or the other. But
Well,
whatever,
yeah,
it's not too bad. Better than the 6 hour
the Albany
drive.
guys aren't driving anymore. They're doing all that now. So
Yeah,
they're
honestly, like it's the same amount of time, but like honestly, I'd rather have someone just drive me. Like on a plane, I mean, like I'd rather just not sit in a car for 6 hours.
that's what they've been saying too. It's way better. So it's good for them.
Love
You
it.
just want to get hammered on the way home, Paul.
yeah,
Just get a couple pints in you.
yeah. Not when I'm coming home to two kids under 2.
I thought it was especially because you're going home to 2 kids.
Yeah, I thought that might be the reason. Well, we're gonna do things a little bit backwards than we usually do, so and just kind of jump right into the season so far. So maybe just kind of we'll start with kind of game one. How are you feeling? Kind of rolling into playing your first game, and then we can kind of jump into how things have been going. But what was that like playing the first one?
Yeah, it was exciting. I was obviously really nervous. I had to go. I mean, we were in Vegas, right? So what a great opportunity to go to a place I've never been to. Obviously, a fun spot, kind of under the lights. The Oregon Washington game at the time was going on, so there was a lot of big crowd, a lot of energy around the city. So I was nervous. I was excited at the same time. I had a lot of family come out to watch. You know what? At the end of the day, like in the first quarter, I was lost. I was like, "Oh my god, I haven't played this sport before. Like, this is what am I doing? Not hitting the net." Just kind of figuring it out. But as after I got that first one in the second, everything just kind of came together, and it just, Clarky is a really good role model and a really good guy to just kind of calm you down and say, "Listen, man, like you don't have to go out there and score 9, 10 points in your first game. Don't worry about it." And then we luckily were in a battle and then just obviously got the win. So it was a lot of first for a lot of our guys there. So luckily I had a great cast around me that was pretty supportive and a bunch of guys I was going into their first game as well. So it was exciting and was happy to get the win.
I think that's kind of like the interesting part about you guys too. It's like, I think Colt Watkison's your captain at 30 years old. Like you guys are a young team, come out to 6-1. Obviously, Clarky, he's been around the game in this league for a long time. But just like, kind of, what's that room like? Like, how's it? Obviously, you guys like you can't really write a better script than how you guys start. But like, what was the feeling coming into the season? And then just like as you guys are rolling, like, what are you guys saying in the room?
Yeah, I think like everybody was thinking, mostly on social media and everyone kind of in our room as well was, it's a bit of a rebuild year. We have a lot of young talent, but it's obviously in this league, it's going to be kind of difficult to, beat those kind of, juggernauts at the top and kind of just figuring out our identity right from the start. We didn't really know how it was going to go. Our locker room, although quite young, is very vocal. I think that Colton's done a really great job kind of letting the rookies talk about, what they're feeling and kind of just getting an open platform there. It's been fun. It's been great getting I've been given the gears a lot and a lot of the rookies have too. And it's just really, having the young guys like that is really exciting. We've made it a pretty, there's no clickiness. We're all pretty tight and it's been great so far. And yeah, like you said, you can't write a better script right now, but it's just one game at a time, I think. And, we've had Dougie in net, which has been pretty helpful in some of those closer games for sure.
Who's on the tunes in the room?
Mikey Byrne out of Toronto. He is, you know what? He plays. It's not the modern. We roll the hip. We roll, all the older rock bands kind of. Which is actually quite refreshing because that's kind of the stuff I was listening to with my dad growing up. So it was kind of like I know. Luckily, I had all the songs down, and there's no like crazy rap going on and stuff like that. Although that can get the boys rolling. We stick with the '90s and early 2000s right now. So it's been great.
For those who don't know, Mike Byrne is an absolute beauty. He went to St. Mike's. His dad was my grade 8 math teacher. He taught at St. Mike's for like a long 30 years or something like that. So he's a beauty. If you don't know Mike Byrne, get to know him. He's the man.
Great tip. Yeah.
How's Court been so far? I saw something on Teddy and Pat's podcast about Court. I think I saw a second year players running it. Is it Cash Truck maybe, or who's running?
Yeah, Patty's running the court this year. I think the reason they gave him the reins, gave him the gavel or whatever, is just because he loved to find himself in his rookie year. He liked to do the rookie max that you could possibly get fined. He just did it to get the boys going, and so that was kind of what they wanted as a leader for that. He's kind of our leader of the rookies in a way. Court's been good. I mean, you know what? I'm not going to say too much because I know I'm going to get
smart.
The thing just for this, it's just I think the rookies have really run into trouble because they just don't shut their mouths. Like they just love to beak, and like any rookie, like any arrogant rookie would like, and so. Luckily, the numbers have been low. For myself personally, I'm like on the verge of bankruptcy on my rookie max, so it's been a tough go. So I get like it's just the little things though, right? Like rookie of the week. Like at some point that's why I've been explaining my bad play as of late. I don't want to get fined $20.
Can't afford it. You can't afford it
can't
anymore.
afford it, man. The checks are just starting to look a couple extras less zeros. So.
What's max fine?
Max fine for a rookie is $20 for a weekend, so it's not too bad.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That's ours too.
Yeah. So it's not crazy, but
we have an extra max fine of 50. It's got to be something outrageous. 20 is our max, but there's a 50 if there's like. And there's no like set barrier, but you'll know when it's a 50. One guy got a 50.
Yeah. We got Joker from you guys, right? And he 100 banged himself for missing all the practices up until that game.
Good guy got ahead of it. That's unreal.
Yeah. So I think we got to get. They really want the rookies to start finding other rookies. We really haven't got on that yet. We haven't been. We've been.
You guys got to stick together. Don't.
Yeah, hold strong.
What a twist! Like they were going to fine us at some point for not even like attempting to find a fellow rookie.
That's you're grasping the straws when you're starting to find guys for not finding guys. That's awesome.
I know it's unbelievable. The budget's obviously a little low, so we got to get her up there, but.
That's awesome. So how have you found, as the season's gone on, you guys have played 7 games now. How have you found, how maybe defenses are catching on to what you do, getting more physical with you, maybe kind of honing in on you as a key player for them? Like, how have you found that adjustment as this has gone?
Yeah, it's difficult. It's definitely an adjustment to junior, like you guys know. It's just you start to figure out who you are as a player a little bit more. I think at the beginning, obviously, a lot of people didn't obviously know my skill set or maybe how I played, so it was a little bit easier to let the ball fly a lot and kind of just get a couple like lucky ones at the start. But as of now, I'm sure that guys are kind of focusing in on watching film, and I got to stop being maybe a little one-dimensional. I think sometimes you can get caught into your own game, your old game, and kind of. When you get tired and you get into old habits, that's when you get caught, and defenses kind of, take advantage of it. So I just got to go look at the film and figure out where am I going wrong and where have I been successful. I think I'm young and I don't do that enough. I think I just kind of get there 2 hours before the game, talk with the boys, and then just go out and hope I, excel and do well. So I think I just got to start figuring that out a little bit more. It's been difficult, but at times it's been great, and sometimes it's been really difficult. It's ebbs and flows as a rookie, I think. And as of late, the ball hasn't been dropping as much. So you just got to go back and figure out what was I doing earlier that, made me successful. And I'll have guys around me that have really helped out, like Ethan Walker and all the old, like, I can't say older guys because the oldest guy is 27. So but the guys that have been around longer than I have. So I just got to, they're a great supporting cast for me.
I think that's a good lead in. Like we're, part of kind of what we wanted to ask was just about, that chemistry. Obviously you guys played together at Denver. So what's it like been, reigniting that connection in the pros now?
Yeah, Ethan's a really like business-like mentality. He goes into every game like it's he brings his lunch pail and he kind of rubs that off on me a little bit. I'm more of the jokester, like to talk a lot, lively part of the friendship or the chemistry, as you'd say. I like to try and get him going a little bit, but what a mentor and what a pro. He's helped me out since we went to Culver actually together in high school, and then Denver, now here. So all three levels has been pretty special. That connection has started at a pretty young age, so it's been just kind of an easy transition, and he's just really shown me the ropes so far. Not even just on the floor, but off the floor. The traveling, all the flights and stuff, all that little things that go into being in this league. So just a great overall guy. Love having him around, and he's helped me out a lot.
So, Donnie, what else do we want to kind of get into just from this season's perspective? Or do we want to kind of go back to the beginning?
Yeah, one thing is with coming in with Kurtz, it's kind of rare to have two guys at the same position, same draft class, kind of coming in. Did you know him before, and then what's it kind of been like? Obviously you played against him your whole life, but what's kind of been like trying to kind of pick up chemistry on the fly and did you guys play Team O or anything like that together? What's your kind of history like with him?
Yes, we played Team O in my last year, so midget. So we got to know each other there. We didn't really have a relationship outside of that, other than playing each other throughout the Ontario days. Always kind of kept in touch here and there, but nothing crazy. And like you said, yeah, it is a bit odd, coming in with a guy of that caliber, playing on the same side as you. You don't know what the chemistry is going to be like. Sometimes it can get a little hostile just because sometimes you want your shot, sometimes he wants his shot, so it can be difficult at times. And I think that we've just done a really good job of communicating with each other. Hey Simmer, why don't you go on the inside and set one here? Just kind of trying to balance it out. I don't. You're gonna have to ask him someday. I think I've taken the more let me get the ball on the outside and let her fly. So he's probably gonna kill me. Sometimes he'll make little digs at me for shooting the ball too much, and but it's good to have that, and he's a good young talent to play with, and it's been fun kind of figuring each other out because we're going to be at this for a while, and we got to become compatible at some point, right? So it's been great early, and it's so the relationship is evolving. Hopefully he just doesn't get too upset with me
just got to keep scoring, man. As long as they go in.
Yeah. Once I stop scoring, then he can get pissed off.
Yeah.
And then we'll
figure it out there.
And you go set the picks.
Yeah, for sure.
Lastly, before we just kind of we jump back to the start, just you kind of mentioned Clarkie at the top, but he's kind of like, I played against him, and then he coached me when I played for Team Canada, and just like that's when he was kind of just starting out, but you could kind of see the kind of coach he was going to become, and just obviously like leading this young group, kind of like what's he been like for you and for the group?
Yeah, it's a great question just because he does a really great job with young guys is what I've heard going into the year. I didn't really know much about Clarkie at all, other than playing against them. But he's done a really good job, and what I've heard from last year was he's very optimistic and is always really tries to keep it positive. After a tough year last year, obviously for a lot of those guys, it could have been easy to fold, and it could have been easy to go like, oh well, let's just try to do a little better the next year. We got a young group. No, he didn't do that at all. He kind of came in and said, you know what, although we're in a rebuild stage, as they'd say, we're going to come out and compete. We're going to come out and win. And he's really responded to our play. He's not too negative, and he's kind of given us the reins offensively to kind of just go out there and play ball. There's obviously X's and O's that go within it, but he's just kind of let us gone out there and play the game that we love to do. And I think there's at times where you come off and he gives it to you, but you want that, right? Like if you don't have that, then he obviously doesn't care. So he's been a great leader, and he's been very optimistic and positive with us, and he's always, harped on, every win that we've got, we've earned it, in one way or another. So he's just really great with the young guys. He's really great with me and just kind of, mentoring me and on how all these things are. And, I have a funny story. Like I got it pretty early from him early. I missed my second flight to second training camp day, and I don't know why I missed it, but I missed it, and he just gave it to me. Just like, and sometimes you want to be, and I'm not just saying this about myself, but you want to be, a little lighter on the new guys. It's obviously their first time doing it. No, he was not light on me, and he gave it to me pretty early, and he just said, "We're pros. Like this is what we do. If you don't want to act like a pro, then don't be here. This is how we do it, and this is the standard that we have." So it's been pretty great to be kind of molded by that and be in that position and have he's been great with me. So an ultimate pro for sure.
What was the?
That was a max fine. That was a max.
I was
fine.
gonna say. I was literally just going to ask.
I got dinged for that one, no doubt. That was pretty great.
And how? I mean, walk us through the feeling when you realize you're missing that thing. How scared are you?
I like any I don't know. I called my parents first. I'm like, fuck. Like what's gonna happen? Like, what's the worst that could happen? Like, am I cut? Like, what's going on? Like, are they, everything, the worst comes into your mind. Like, oh God, this is what's going to happen. And so I show up and I'm anxious and I'm nervous and I'm like sweating. I'm sweating. And I go to lunch with my mom because she picked me up at the airport to bring me to the track. And we just went out for lunch. And of course, right when I walk in the door, who's there sitting? Like, it's just a random restaurant in Oakville. And they're sitting right there, and I'm like, "Oh my God!"
No.
Yeah, it was brutal. I'm like, at least I'd give me like an hour or two to calm down and have a lunch and relax. Nope, they're right there, and it was terrible. And but the boys made me feel a little bit better about it. They gave me shit and dinged me up, and it was fun. They're like, "Oh yeah, we've all been here." So it was pretty nerve wracking though. For sure.
I like that they gave you that we've all been here, but like they kind of probably hadn't been.
Oh no, absolutely. Like, yeah. I was like on the verge of like having a breakdown. Like, oh God, like it's my first pro weekend. Like I've already screwed up, but yeah, they were great about it.
You made it through, and the things are fine. I'm sure everybody's forgotten about it, so you're good. Let's go back to the start, man. How do you pick up a stick?
Yeah, I honestly, I'm the only one in my family that's ever played lacrosse. I didn't know anything about the sport. I played AAA hockey at a young age, like novice, around that novice time, and I wasn't really playing anything in the summer at that age. It was kind of like what like anyone, like you're 4 or 5, you play soccer, they put you in the soccer league or whatever. But I wasn't really doing anything at that time. And one of the parents said, "What's Alex doing in the summer?" And that's how it kind of grew. They're like, "Oh, there's this great game lacrosse. Like, you got to do it." Like, and originally the issue with it was that I don't live in St. Catharines, and I didn't. So I had to go play for this team called Lincoln. It's like where the Grimsby and Beamsville teams are, and it was, I'm not going to say anything poorly about it. It was just like their lacrosse program hadn't really got up to they haven't really excelled. So I tried to get a release to St. Catharines, and that luckily got me there and where I could develop and start the game. So I luckily got a release at the age of like 6 or 7. So I was a little bit behind everybody. I got cut actually in Tyke and novice, or Tyke, yeah, and I didn't make the team, so I didn't have many friends, and it was terrible. I was like, I hate this sport. Get me out of it. I don't want to do it anymore. And then from there, I made the team the next year, and then it just kind of blossomed into 9 or 10 more years of just playing lacrosse. So it was great. I played hockey with all those guys in the winter too. So it was kind of it all kind of came to fruition.
How were the teams growing up? Were you guys like competing in A, or like, because obviously you got pretty good, you had a good run in junior, but what was it like in minor?
Yeah, I thought we were pretty good. I mean, Donnie might have something to say about that, but we, it was the Zone 9 boys. It was St. Catharine's, Nations, and Burlington. I mean, those teams were stacked if you look at it now. Nations had, Audie and, Jerry at the time was pretty good too. And like all those, Tohoka was great. I mean, those teams were insane. And then obviously with Donnie's team, they had him and Lanch and all those guys. Like it was, and then we had Latrell. And so those were great battles growing up. It was always tough. I mean, at the end of the year, it was always us three kind of competing. They got on the better side of it, obviously, but it was great. I mean, those were really, you kind of look back at it and go, we were playing the best lacrosse at that age at that time. And although we didn't get to play Orangeville and Brampton, all those teams at the time, it was great to compete against those guys. And we were competing. I ended up winning one a provincial, I think, and that was it in Bantam. But all those other years, it was competing for bronze and all that stuff. So not the great ones, but it was always tough losses to Donnie and those boys, and some wins here and there too. So it was always fun.
Yeah, there were some battles, man. Those St. Catharine's, our St. Catharine's Burlington games back at the end of minor are some of the most heated minor games I've ever kind of seen and been a part of. And you guys were good in your major year too. I think,
Yeah.
We had our battle. Like, I'm a year older than you, and most of those guys you just talked about, like Audie's my age, Tohoka's my age, Lanch is obviously my age, and Latrell, for those who don't know, Latrell is my age. He was kind of the leader of your team, and a bunch of other good players as well. But yeah, there's some hatred. I'm cool with Latrell now. He's a great guy, but it was pretty heated there for a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, it wasn't even us too. It was the parents. I mean, they were all like, it was who was drunker and who was gonna yell at, like who was gonna throw stuff on the floor, like, and it didn't help that the arenas were 100,000 degrees, and it elevated the atmosphere, and it was always fun to be a part of. It was that that was great, and then you get it into junior, and you have Toller as a coach, and then it just kind of really elevated.
Yes, he's not very good at it.
Been there,
stuff
been
either.
there
He's
as well.
pretty calm and cool. Yeah.
So it just got even worse. So.
I think Paulie was in the middle of one actually that when I played for Tully in junior that I remember. So yeah, we've all been part of that.
Yeah. That's just like oil and water. I'm also not very good at not inside
We had a water fight. We had a water bottle fight against Six Nations in junior. Someone started squirting water, and then the bottles started flying.
Yeah, we had a game. Actually, Donnie, you might have been on that team. I don't know. We were in Orangeville at the Bunny, and we were down. The series was over. It was like Game 5, and we were getting pumped, and the game was kind of over. Toller gets kicked out pretty early, or like more like the third. And we're trying to play the game, and the way the benches are at the Bunny, like you can see the crowd, and obviously the away locker room is right to your left. And all we see is like we're getting pumped. The boys are down, and all we see is Toller. Like he went to the locker room and got a bunch of our like backup sticks and just started like javeling the fans, like actually like digging into guys like love handles and like just giving it to them. And it was those were stories that were always fun, and it was fun to be a part of. I mean, obviously it didn't look great, but it was a good time to be a part of it. Yeah, but,
that's amazing. I thought you were gonna say throwing him on the floor or something. He's just going and spearing the crowd.
And he was screaming. I mean, he was really giving to everybody, and obviously you can't repeat a lot of what he was saying, but it was those were some heated times, no doubt.
That's funny. So then how does the whole Culver thing start? Like, were you in conversations? Like, did you know that kind of as you got to that age, you wanted to do like the prep school thing, or was it like they kind of approached you and put the idea in your head?
So I never, I went to just a Catholic high school in Grimsby. I didn't know anything about the prep school life. Actually, like I knew about it. I knew that, guys like Donnie, guys a bit older than me that were kind of going up through 3D and stuff like that were going to these schools. I didn't really know much about it. But there's actually a player on Buffalo right now, Carter McKenzie. His older brother Dawson, who ended up going to Princeton, was at Culver, and they were losing him to Princeton, and the coach there, John Posner at the time, was like, "Hey, do you have a right-handed attackman or right-handed player that of skill that can come down?" And luckily, Dawson's dad and my dad knew each other, and they just said, "Yeah, like we got this kid from St. Catharine's that we think you'd love. And I went down there, and I absolutely hated it. I wanted to go home. I was homesick. I called my mom every night, like, get me out. It's a military school, just by the
Yeah, I
way.
was gonna say, right?
Um,
Because it's like
so-
it's pretty strict, right?
oh yeah, and I needed it because I was a dirtbag, and I think it really did change me, and it really did, put me on the right path, because I wasn't like anything like crazy, but I was just, I needed that. I was a bit of a egotistical maniac, and I needed to be put down and humbled a little bit, and that was the perfect place for me while playing at a high level of lacrosse. So it was great. I mean, I hated the first 3 months, but then after that, I really enjoyed it. I played with a lot of talent there, and it was. I never really had played field before then, so it was kind of my first kind of real get up at field, and kind of introduced me to that part of the game. And then once I started going there, then the college things started coming up, and yeah, then that was history. And I had some great battles against the Hill, and so, like, those, talk about some heated games. Those were some heated games with a lot of talent too. So that was a fun time. That was a fun part of the journey, no doubt.
What was
When
your
did
was there a time at school that you were like that Culver? Is there something that sticks out to you that you're like, what the fuck did I get myself involved in here? When you're, whether it's like a morning routine or something, or throwing on the uniform, or what was that like?
Uh, I mean, I probably had like 20 of those a week. I think, like the waking up part, like them screaming at 7 in the morning. I think the marching into breakfast at 7 a.m., 7:30 a.m. was tough. I mean, I'm like sitting there, and I'm like with a couple of Canadian guys like that are with me, like a couple other recruits, and I'm like looking left and right, and I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, this sucks. And I got caught saying that one time, and I got caught talking, and it was like, "What did you say?" And I'm like, and then obviously, like, this is how bad I was. I was like, I just said to him, like, "What the fuck am I doing here?" Like, I was like such an asshole, and they were like, "Okay." So then I just had to walk lap around the dining hall until everyone was done breakfast, and it was just kind of like one of these moments, like, dude, like, get me out of here. Like, this is a mess. Like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not. I like learning how to like do the rifle movements. I'm like, dude, like, this is just absolutely like out of this world. Like, what am I doing? And then you get used to it, and then all of a sudden you like kind of want to do it, and you're like, oh, like like, you just feel like a nerd, and you feel weird doing it. Like, you feel like you're playing dress up every day. Like, that's what literally it felt like. I am shining shoes at 6:30 at night while my friends are getting piled at the mansion house in St. Catharines. Like, it's like, what am I doing here? Like, this is insane. So it was, yeah, everything was crazy to me at that time.
Yeah, that's a full advertisement for anybody looking to go to Culver. But you
or
learn
the
lots.
or the mansion house.
Oh, there,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Also an advertisement for St. Catharines. Fun place.
Yeah. Just go to them all. They'll be great.
So how does where was there like other places that you were considering outside of Denver, or like was that kind of the spot for you from the get go?
Yeah, I there was a lot, like, not a lot, but I think there was like 4 or 5 that, other than Denver, that were kind of reaching out. I think that right when Matt Brown kind of knocked on the door, and seeing that the team that they had at the time, I was like, oh my God, they'd fit in perfectly with my Canadian style. I can't use both hands. They play a pretty cool like two man game style, which I'd fit into really well. And Ethan Walker was going there, so it was kind of nice to have someone there that you'd know. And at the same time, my roommate, or one of my roommates at Culver, was also going, Will Clayton, who's from BC. So it was kind of easy to just kind of do that transition. I didn't really get into it that much. I was actually looking at High Point, believe it or not. I was looking there, and I loved it. I
Don't
like
do this. Everybody fucking comes
We're
on.
on a heater right now.
and just saying, it was. I loved the volleyball courts. The girls were awesome. It was a cool time to be there, but I was like, it just didn't work out. But yeah, at the end of the day, ultimately, Denver was the right choice. I loved it. What a great area. I mean, Josh, you're out there all the time. It's just what a great time, and a beautiful city. And I was lucky enough to get coached by Matt Brown and Bill Tierney, and what a privilege that was, and to learn the game from them. So it was great.
Did you go on any other visits? Like when you say other, like did you go to High Point? Like what other schools did you go to? Like to go
Yeah,
check
I
out?
visited. I was High Point. I went to Loyola, Ohio State. There was a couple other ones that were just kind of at the beginning,
Yeah.
like the upstate ones, like Albany and Hobart, like those ones. None that I was like seriously considering. I was pretty young at the rules were different, right? Like you go there at 14, so
Yeah.
you don't know, right?
No, for
I
sure.
actually like Denver didn't even see me play field. They just went up and saw me play box up in Ontario, and then knew that I was going to Culver, so they were just like, okay, yeah, we'll do that. That's a great option for you. Other than that, like honestly, it's so long ago now. I'm probably missed a couple, but yeah, there was like 5 or 6 visits in between Denver. I didn't even visit Denver. I just committed. I didn't even go out there. That was
That's
just
hilarious.
just,
How
just
so
locked
that
in.
hurts,
Locked
dude. That hurts even more. You went and visited High Point, didn't even go to Denver, but you're like, yeah, I'm going there.
No, that's not. I don't think Coach Torpy's a big fan of me anymore. He really was until I gave him that phone call.
Yeah,
So if he watches this, he's probably gonna be fuming. But it was, yeah, I didn't even visit. I just said, yeah,
damn
let's
it.
roll. Let's roll.
Yeah,
Oh, he
but
did, but I will say, he did say like we got great Canadians here. Like we got Dan Lomas, and I was like, I actually know who that is. Like that's great.
that's this is
Uh,
listen. Let's do more of this. We're doing a lot of this the last couple episodes here. This is nice.
And I'm just like, yeah, like that's great, like that's insane. He's like, yeah, like we love our Canadians. It's a great spot. I'm like, there's no doubt, like it's beautiful here. Like there's no
Yeah.
kidding. Yeah, no, now I feel bad. Now I just feel like
No,
an
hey,
asshole.
it's all right. We can get it. We'll turn the page. But I mean, let's as much as it's going to pay me, let's get into a little bit of your time at Denver. What was once you actually did step foot on campus? What was it like?
Uh, First at Denver, I mean, I was nervous. I was like, oh my god, they just come off a couple tournament runs. They just won, and then a bunch of Final Fours and quarterfinals. So it was nerve wracking to go in there with a lot of talent that they had. You never know as a freshman if you're going to step on right away. I was kind of a highly touted recruit coming out of high school, but you still don't know, right? Like that, go anywhere, and you might not see the field. So luckily, I got a good amount of time. I spent a lot of my time on the second line midi there, and learned a lot from the guys that were playing above me, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, it's Denver, right? It's a beautiful city. Great restaurants and bars around that time. So um, it was fun, and I really enjoyed my freshman experience. It was my first introduction to Mile Mondays. I was not in the best of shape, and I was the run test was terrible. The 9 minutes, mile and a half, I didn't even pass one. I think I was over 5 or over 6 or something. I was terrible, but yeah, it was
That's no
great.
joke. That's a quick mile and a half.
Oh my god, yeah, and like I was doing pretty well for the first 3 or 4 laps, but then I just dogged it, and then Coach T would always go, hey, like what's the deal? Like why were you like why didn't you pass? And I was like, I had box in the summer, I didn't really have an opportunity to run,
Yeah.
so
That's a
usually,
classic excuse, eh? Like,
took that bait, so I was like, all right, I'll keep using that for the next 5 years.
hey, if he said, "Why are you in such good shape right now?" You'd be like, "Oh, I was playing box all summer. Like I was running all summer." It's just like
Yeah,
you just say I had box, and it's just a fugazi. It's like, okay, cool. Like,
yeah, totally. You didn't have time during the week to run it at all. Yeah,
yeah, you're only running 4 times a week all summer
yeah,
in intense heat with gear on.
Yeah, but
exactly.
it wasn't at a 6 minute mile pace. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And then there was those guys that just crushed it, right? So they make you feel bad. I'm like, can we all just get on an agreement here and run with the 10:30 guys? Like, come back
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
good.
those guys that are running the 9 minute miles are the same guys squatting 500 pounds and chopping your arm in half in practice. And
Yeah,
just not what you're looking for here, boys. Tone it down a bit.
exactly.
Go play box.
Yeah. Go play some box.
Maybe you'd have some hands.
Yeah,
Like, Jesus.
maybe.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, kind of moving through your time there. You've got the extra year for COVID, I guess. Is that how that worked out?
Yeah, so I had the extra year, and I had full intentions of going back to Denver for my 5th year. until we had a class of 14, and all of them actually decided not to go back and play. And it was kind of tough for me because although I was close with everyone on the team, I just wasn't the right fit for me. All the guys were leaving, and I thought we had a pretty good chance to, do well if all the guys came back. And I just had to make a decision for myself. What do I want to do? What was best for me? I've been a Syracuse fan growing up since I was young. My dad used to take me to the Carrier Dome when I was little to go watch, Jammer and all those guys play, and Sid Smith, all those big names. And so it was kind of a no-brainer when Gary Gay called. It was kind of like what an opportunity to go out there and play for a pretty historic, college team. And it was 3 hours from home, right? So they could go to every game. My parents couldn't go to Denver a lot, so it was nice for them to go there and play a different schedule. I mean, I didn't get to play the Virginias and all those teams, in the Big East. So it was a pretty cool experience. People ask me the question, was one better than the other? And I say, no, like there was no better or worse. It was just different. Denver was a small school, with a great hockey team. I mean, they won a national championship while I was there. So it was always a fun time to go to the hockey games and stuff like that. Just a smaller area around the university. And a lot of the athletes stuck with the athletes. But at Syracuse, you have the football team, a little bit more history to it. And it was a pretty cool time to be around, all the football and the basketball games. So it was a pretty good social time as well. So it was just different, but it was great at the same time.
I'm sure the NIL deals kicking in for year 5 to go to Syracuse probably helped too.
Nah, I don't know.
No comment.
Hey, he just doesn't want to get dinged up again in court this week. He's trying to hang on to that NIL money.
You guys are really trying to empty my pockets right now.
Yeah.
That's good. But what was it like going there, right? And playing for Gary Gate, like, rolling onto the campus that you said you used to visit as a kid. What was that feeling like?
Yeah, it was pretty surreal. Like at the beginning, you're trying not to be a fan and like gaga over this guy, right? Like you're looking at him like, wow, you're the best ever to it. Like your picture is literally everywhere at the school. Like you cannot avoid a Gary Gate like Air Gate photo, and it's so you're like absolutely mesmerized at him at first, and then as the months go on, you're just kind of like, okay, he's there and he's your coach, and he's always trying to find a new way in his manufacturing plant out in Albany to figure out new sticks. So it was like Christmas Day a lot of the time. He's bringing in 5 or 6 new models of what he wants to do. So it was always pretty cool to see that. But his practice style, I mean, he's not very vocal. But when he is vocal and he is talking to you, you listen. And he was the guy that was the first one to say, if you're here, like throwing around the world or throw BTB or at this point. And he had great stories too. I mean, like with him and Paul back in the day in their 90s run, 80s run, like it was pretty cool to hear and get some advice from him and some funny stories at that. Some stories that he probably shouldn't be telling, but it was what a time to be around. Guys like Joey Spallina. You go into that as a 5th year, as a 24-year-old, and you want to be a leadership guy. Obviously I wasn't the most talented on that team, but you go in there and you want to help those guys out. Joey took a lot of heat at the beginning of his career for, going 1 for 50, something stupid. And you got to, be there and help him out and just be kind of that older role because they're going to be great in the next coming years. So you just kind of want to mold them and hope that they do their best. So it was a great time. And definitely it was pretty gratifying for me to, fulfilling for me to take on that role as the older guy for sure.
I want to ask about a damn Gary Gate story so bad, but we don't want to get you fully sued. Maybe we'll have to get him on.
Yeah, that'd be a bigger fine.
Yeah. Sure. Donnie, anything else about a college career we want to ask about?
No, I think you. I think I thought I knew a lot about lacrosse You graduate, you think you kind of have it figured out. You go to another place and you learn a lot. Like, what did you kind of take from that experience that you kind of keep with you now? Whether it's something you changed in preparation or a new way of looking at the game, maybe that was different. But how is that kind of experience of playing at different places, and what do you kind of stuck with you?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, I was fortunate enough to play at two places that were pretty well known in the lacrosse world, at Peter Barton at Denver, and in the obviously the Carrier Dome, which is called JMA or something now. But it's lacrosse is everywhere, and lacrosse is different everywhere. I think that's what I learned. I think the upstate lacrosse is a little bit more intense, and they love their lacrosse, and it's just a crazy atmosphere there. And I got nervous going into the dome a little bit more than I did going on to Peter Barton. As much as I hate to say that, it was just you go from two different areas and people who are passionate about the game there, and it's a bigger venue. You're on TV all the time, and it's a lot. So, and I think that what that did for me was kind of help me go into the NLL. Like now, my preparation is a little bit more serious. I'm not as nervous going out there anymore now. As long as I'm getting ready for the game and I'm doing everything I need to do, it's great. And I think the biggest piece that I learned through that transition was that you got to make decisions for yourself and stick up for yourself. If you feel that you're in a place that you need to move on, then you got to do it. And Coach T was great with me with that when he had to leave Princeton all those years ago to go out to Denver to a no-name program that hasn't won anything, and leave the people that leave people behind that you didn't necessarily don't want to, but you want to do it for yourself. That's what I learned. It was really difficult to leave Denver, and I still have all my friends there, and we have a great relationship with Coach T. So it was difficult, but it needed to happen, and it was I couldn't be more thankful for all the opportunities that my parents and the coaches gave me. So that answers your question. That's probably what I learned the most.
Yeah, maybe just to tie a bow on this subject. I know you and Jake Stevens, I think, are pretty tight. I think you guys played at Culver together. He's doing the fifth year at Cuse now. What's that kind of? Have you been chatting a lot with him? Giving him some advice and stuff, or what's that like?
Yeah, absolutely. Jake and I are pretty close friends. We have been for a while. I'm not going to say, I don't know what the tampering rules are with the NCAA. I'm not going to go out there and say that
They don't listen to this podcast. We're good. Otherwise, Coach Torby's grandma.
Yeah.
My program shut down.
He was just looking for a spot, obviously, with the Ivies. It was difficult, and he was just looking for a spot that, he would probably fit in. And I said, well, I've had a great time here. I think this would be a great spot for you. And they're pretty lucky to have him, and vice versa. I've been talking to him frequently, and he's loving it. They're looking good. Apparently, they're going to be great this upcoming year. They've got a lot of talent. I mainly just talked to him about the social life, like how's that been going, how's that been rolling, and seems like he's fitting in really well and enjoying it. But he's they're going to be. They've got a lot of time. I mean, they have they have Sam English that also went to Culver there too, so he's there at Syracuse now. So I'm not going to say I led him there either, but it was just more of a, what a great opportunity to go up to Syracuse and be closer to home. That's how I would put it for them. And luckily they made that decision. It was great. And rooting for the Orange. I can't say if I root for the Pios or the Orange more, but if I do, just so Walker doesn't find me, I'll say the Pios, because let's go with the Pios. Let's go.
That's good, man. Well, what would you say? I mean, obviously we're just about halfway through the first year in the NLL for you. What do you say your biggest takeaway is so far?
For me personally, just block out the noise. Try to stay off social media a lot. I think Coach Clark is that's one of the things he's told me to do. Obviously, there's a lot of love for our team and a lot of stuff. You see tweets about yourself and stuff like that. You guys know, and you don't want to get lost in it. You just kind of want to avoid that stuff because it really means nothing, especially from guys who have never played the sport before, and they're telling you, you got to do this and do that, and you're not good enough, or this and that and the other, and you just try to avoid it and be a pro. Don't get to your head. Just more about worrying about the process and the outcome. There's days where it seems like it's coming easier to you, and some days it's difficult. This past weekend for us was a little bit more difficult, right? Shots weren't falling, and we didn't get the outcome we wanted, but we knew we were going to lose at some point. We knew that. It's more about how we're going to respond, and that's our biggest takeaway right now. Just avoid the noise. Avoid. We know how the lacrosse Twitter and the lacrosse antics can quickly turn on you if you start losing. So you try to just avoid it and stick within the locker room and do that. That's
If there's one thing we know, it's that lacrosse Twitter is a grumpy, grumpy place.
No
There's no making
positivity out of
anybody
it.
happy.
oh yeah, no way.
But man, we appreciate it. We sat down for a while here. Donnie or Paul, you guys got anything before we let Simmer go?
No, buddy, this was great. Really appreciate you doing this, and man, like a hell of a start to your career, and just all the best of luck, man. Keep going.
Appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, man.
Awesome,
Thank
man.
you.
See you guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks, buddy.
Awesome,
Yeah.
buddy. Thanks for doing this, man. It's great.